I never thought I would end up in a hospital working. I've always been squeamish. Skin my knee, stub my toe, Band-Aids. Give me a shot, can't look. Take blood, I can't look. I've also always been a dancer since I was a little kid. And I grew up in New York City, so I got to dance with amazing people like Honya Holm and Martha Graham and Pearl Lang and Alvin Ailey, and even took ballet at Carnegie Hall, where a Russian teacher would smack my foot with his stick and say, "Point harder." I went to Brown University and I studied theater arts, and went right back to New York where I was going to make my name. And I worked for a choreographer named Patricia Birch, and she let me choreograph some. She had 4 shows on Broadway at the same time, including Grease, Little Night Music. I did some choreography and some performance with her and assisted her on TV. And then I said, put me in one of your shows. And the one she chose was from Chapel Hill, been playing off-Broadway in New York, and then went on an 8-month tour, including to Chapel Hill. And as luck had it, I got a job in my 20s teaching at the University of North Carolina, replacing a teacher who left. And I taught movement and dance to the acting students at the drama department here for about 6 years. Then life turned around again, and I had gotten married, and we went to New York, and he was an actor, and I danced a little, and I choreographed a little, and I catered a lot. So we decided, oh, let's go to LA. And we packed up, and really, literally moments before that trip, everything fell apart. And he went, and I didn't. And that's another story. But I went a little mad for about a year. I had given away my apartment, packed everything up. I didn't know what to do. And I moved around a little bit to friends and family. And then my friend Ruby Shang from Brown, fellow dancer, choreographer, she said, you come with me. We're going back to North Carolina. And I have a job teaching I'm going to make a big site-specific dance in Duke Gardens, and you come with me and be my assistant, one of my assistants, and I have an apartment, and 155 dancers in white, swinging a big 3-4 foot rope with a big knot on the end of it, beating the ground in the open field in Duke Gardens was the beginning of it. And then I did a solo with pine cones, one for each year of my life. I was 37 at the time, on a beautiful green slope, which was right near the pond where Bill T. Jones, a gorgeous modern dancer, walked on water because our artist Patrick Doherty made a platform 1/8 of an inch below the water so he could do that. And then a boat with fire in it came meandering back along the pond, and then all 155 of us, me included with that same rope, beat the water. And then we laughed and jumped in just as the sun was going down in an incredibly pink sky. It was August when we finished that dance, and I picked up the phone and I dialed 733-2111. It was a rotary phone. That's how long ago it was. And there was no operator, nor was there a menu answering the phone. It was Gail Fry, and she said, Joy, I'm really sorry. I wish we had a job for you here at the North Carolina Arts Council, but we don't. But I just had a conversation with Janice Palmer, and she has an arts program at Duke University Medical Center, and she needs a program coordinator. I got the job. Arts, hospital, oh, squeamish. But she wanted me to start programs, and one of them would be interesting to you medical students. It was a discussion that we wanted to happen about the ethical issues of mistreating because they're immigrants or poor, as William Carlos Williams wrote these short stories. And we turned them into little plays, and the medical students performed them. And a humanities scholar from Duke came with us to lead a discussion at the prisons between the medical students and the prisoners, and at medical associations between the doctors and the medical students, and in libraries between the public and the medical students. And they were quite interesting. That was called Doctors' Dilemmas. I also started a program of touchable art, which I got from the museum in the Eye Center at Duke. And I also started the program that I've done now for 25 years, about 10 years at Duke, and some of it simultaneously, about 21 years now at UNC. And it was called Room Service at Duke, and it's called Door to Door at UNC. And I bring the best of our artists right into the patient rooms. I go to children, but I go a lot to adults. I've learned over these years of from thousands of people that I've met, that even though it's just a moment, what we offer, it does change people around. I think the endorphins that run in your body when you feel good literally help heal. They don't heal, but they help heal, as opposed to the poisons that have to be running around your body when you're scared or in pain. I'll tell you 3 tiny stories. A beautiful woman in her 60s, gray hair, leaning back in her bed, and there were 6 children in their 60s. She was in her 60s or 70s, and they were in their 30s or 40s or so. And she was blank-faced, and they were really sad looking. And I came in with Jules' song, 5 singers, and they got right around her bed, and they sang 5 verses of Amazing Grace. And then we left, went down the hall, and about 10 minutes later, one of the daughters came out with tears streaming down her face, and she said, "Joy," she said, "my mama hasn't talked to us for over a week." And she's talking to us, and she's hugging us. Thank you. I took Clean Maunzio, and still take him, a Congolese gorgeous man who is a master drummer, and into the adolescent psychiatric ward, and they're locked in, and they've done some things if they're in there. And they look at me like, yeah, you know, are you kidding? I'm not going to do that. And within about 15 minutes, Clean has them next to each other in chairs with a djembe drum. We have 10 djembe drums, playing them. They're animated, they're asking questions, they're laughing, they're listening to each other play solos respectfully, and they do it for an hour, and they're sweating by the end of it. And the third story is of Jonathan Bird, who is a man who has won a national award for his songwriting. And one day he comes with me about once a month or 2 months, and one day we were in an Anderson, 5 Anderson, and the nurse said, "There's a dying woman. She's going to die today or tomorrow. She's in her 40s, and her mom is in there." And Jonathan and I went in, and he wrote later an essay that's on my website that you can see. And he said, "I got as close to her as I could, and I played my guitar, and I sang Blackbird. And I watched as she slowly got into a fetal position and started rocking to the music. And I knew she could hear me." And he said, I felt like a shaman must feel it. And he said, "I'll never go into a bar again and assume, you know, that the people are all fine. I'll think maybe there's somebody in there who's lost or losing a daughter." And And if you'll indulge me, I'll read a poem that I wrote about my work. It's called The Door. For 21 years, every week, I open a door to a patient's room in this hospital, and then another, perhaps 21 in all that day, or more, sometimes many more. Each one curtains a life now in travail, in pain, wounded or dying. Each door closets inside the story of this crucial moment in this cycle of this broken body, this messed with mind. And I ask, may I offer you a gift, a moment of joy? From behind me, entering this small room that is mostly bed, comes an interruption to that poor soul's profound fear in the form of a chanteuse, a musician, a painter, a magician. They perform their soul-rendered best, a private concert, one-on-one, a short show, there to console that precious being, there to celebrate that patient. The door-to-door artists convey keys for comfort. They touch through to the heart. They soothe the beast called pain. Their musical words bring solace to those who are vulnerable. Their artful voices proclaim the music of healing.